Hey everybody, Chad here. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to try and paint this butterfly. I'm not 100% sure until I really get going what colors I want for all of this. And it's got lots of flowers on it, so I'm going to kind of do one color and go over quite a bit of the different sections and then go from there. We're using the dry brush technique, which I have put in some other videos of painting concrete, so you can go back and watch those. But basically you dip the very tip of your paintbrush in the paint, and then you wipe it all off onto here, almost all of it. The more the better that you wipe off, because you can always add more later, but you can't take it away easily. And then you're just going to kind of dust it, and that's going to get your colors off. You'll see as we start going. I'm going to set the camera up, and then we'll get it painted and just kind of see what it looks like in the end. There's our baby Yoda. Hey, baby Yoda. Hey. And this is going to go out in the garden, in the butterfly garden, so how appropriate. All right, I've actually never used these half-size paintbrushes, but I'm gonna use one of those and also one of our regular ones. This is the one I use most of the time for smaller stuff, 1 inch, but I found these 1/2 inches. I need to find where I can buy these. I can't get them at Lowe's or Home Depot around here, so I need to maybe like a Sherwin-Williams or something would sell these. But maybe Hobby Lobby, somebody mentioned that, so I'll try there. But Glenn over at Concrete Garden, he gave me these. That's where I get all my statues, almost all of them. So let's see how to do this. First, dip just a little bit in, like that. Wipe it off. Just like so. Even more if you're just doing this for the first times, and you'll notice, just, there you go. All I want is the top right here. It's okay if it gets on the edges here, because you're going to paint either the same color or different color, depending, but you can always wipe it off like that if you want to. And then you just rub it back in here, and then wipe it off again. Use a little more paint. I'm using a little more than what I told you to use because I already know that I want this part to be a heavier color. But I don't want to glob it on. Some people like to paint over this so you can't tell it's concrete. I want it to be concrete. I want it to look like it's a concrete statue that is painted. Look how fast you can cover that. That's where you don't want to get off too much paint if you know you want it like this. Like I said, always err on the side of not quite as much, because you can go right back over it and make it thicker. But you can't thin it back out. But if you mess up completely, paint the whole thing black again. By the way, this has been coated in black paint that's been watered down just a little bit, and just a coat over the regular concrete. And that's also in previous videos, so you can look those up. I'll put some links on there too. Alright, so now we got some blue. Question is, do we want to do the bottom? And the answer for that, for me, is probably yes. Right up under here. Try not to block it. Now, if I end up wanting to change this, I just go over it with whatever color I want to go over it with. That might actually be the final big brush that I use. I say big. There's, of course, the bigger sizes, but I'm gonna use the smaller ones for doing these smaller areas right here. Make it a lot easier. I'm still gonna use blue. Try to use do all the blue sections right now. Once again, I'm gonna get off a little more this time because I wanna make sure that I don't overdo it. Even that's probably a little more than I would want to, but that's okay. Not bad. Actually, I do want more, see? There you go. Always keep going over and over, add more. Boom, nice. And that's gonna dry more blue than it looks now. Looks kind of white. Oh yes, these little brushes are great. I've never had any of these before. Didn't even know they made it this small. If you go much smaller than this and use like craft brushes, then you have to paint a little bit more like normal, and you kind of lose that textured look because you're painting a little thicker just because of the way the brushes are. I'm just sort of smushing it in there, getting that paint on there. And I said if it overlaps, that's okay, because on the next color, you'll cover that up and you won't even notice. If you're really a stickler about that, you can always wipe it off with your finger. And I will do that a lot when I paint fairies, especially around their faces and when I get into those more detailed stuff. But something like this, we just want this to be pretty colors, but does not have to be perfect. Now, the debate I'm having is whether to use yellow. Yellow may be it's not quite the pastel type of colors, so it may be too different, but we'll try one and then paint over them if it doesn't work. Noticed I left off a blue. Use a smaller one for yellow, and that's because these flowers are getting really small. With a small brush you can kind of do the same thing, but it's a little different, you'll see. If you use a smaller brush on this whole thing, you can actually make it much thicker versus the technique I was using, which is going to have a little bit more black showing through. debating what to paint with the black in here. What color should that be? We're gonna try the green in between here. I think I'm gonna use this small brush too. This one should be interesting. Kind of reminds me of moss growing in there. I think I like that a lot. Don't be afraid to try it. Worst case scenario, you just paint over it black again with a little brush. Yeah, I kind of like that. Just kind of pressing it in there and moving it like up against it, and you're not really painting per se. Makes it easy. And don't get discouraged either. This is a lot of detail on this thing. You could just paint all one color and it would just look cool. You can make it look like stone if you wanted to. I think that's really nice, except, let's see, I missed one thing earlier I noticed. Let's see here. I think it needs a yellow somewhere up here. Where at? Probably this one and this one, I think. Right here and here. That's a pink and a blue, so we'll do yellow over them. Alrighty, I think that looks really good. It took us, what, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so. And this is a lot of detail for a concrete statue. I mean, all those flowers and stuff, if you take your time, or you can do them all one color, that make it a lot easier. I said you can use stuff like that, or you can make it all look like stone. You can make it all just whatever your favorite color is and do it that way. Or you can get detailed. I kind of went with the pastel-ish colors. I like that moss looking look though back there. That looks really cool. So, wow, look at that. I mean, and I will say, overnight as this thing dries, the blues will come out more, the pink will come out a little more, the purples and all. So you'll be able to notice that a lot, because I have a skull that's kind of this color palette as well. And at first I wasn't sure if I liked it, but once it dried out, it was really nice. So that's all we'll do for now. We'll let it dry out good. We'll spray it with some sealant stuff tomorrow, or acrylic, something or another. Anyway, but we'll spray it with a spray can, and that's in a previous video as well. And that way it'll make it shine a little bit more before we put it outside. But I'm really happy how that turned out, and just kind of coming up with it as we went. And we'll see how it looks tomorrow when it dries. But if you guys like the video, hit like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll do some more statues really soon. So we spray on some Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. It doesn't really protect it. It does make it shinier though, and that's always good. left that bit on the front. Same thing on the back and the sides. Sorry, I'm trying to hold a camera and do this at the same time. And that, folks, should do it. We'll let that dry for a few minutes, and then we'll figure out exactly where in the garden we're going to put this.